My husband's ex-wife and kids hate me, and I'm not fond of them either. They all think I'm the reason they can't get back together, even though she's the one who cheated, and I didn't meet him until he was in the middle of their divorce negotiations. His kids were rude to me, and when I was pregnant with our first child, they told me I should hurry and get an abortion before it was too late. Anyway, during the divorce negotiations, my husband voluntarily gave up the paid-off house so that his kids wouldn't have to move schools. He agreed to pay child support beyond what the courts would have imposed, and his alimony amount is more than her salary. In return, she agreed to wait to sell the house or move until the youngest was 18. Something happened, and she sold the house and moved into an apartment. This past weekend, he came and asked if I would object to him buying her another house because she's missing out on her time with the kids. They refused to stay in her cramped apartment. I said no, and that she needed to live with the consequences of her bad decisions. He begged, but I stood my ground. I reminded him that we have a child together and another on the way. Any money he spends on his ex is taking away from their future. He argued that the kids need a home, and I countered that they each have their own rooms in our house. Even though I can't stand them, I can be an adult and tolerate them if it means he doesn't buy his ex a house. He said it'll be in our names, but I countered that interest rates are high and the housing market in our area is crashing, so we'll lose money if we buy a house now, which will affect our children's future. His ex reached out to his parents, and now they're on my case about making their grandkids homeless. It feels like everyone's making me out to be the wicked stepmother, and I'm the crazy one. I can't be the only one to think it's crazy for a husband to buy his ex a house. Am I the idiot for not letting my husband buy a house for his ex and his kids? Not the idiot. So the ex had a fully paid up house, a job, and alimony, which was more than her salary, but she still sold her house and now wants another one? Fully paid up, too. What happened to the money she got from selling the house? Why is it your fault when she's the one who sold the house? Also, your stepkids are not homeless. They have 2 houses. They just don't like either. You need to focus on yourself and your kids. Your husband needs some common sense. If your in-laws think she should have a new house, they can buy her one. The husband and in-laws need to realize OP's 2 kids with the husband also need the financial security of a dual income home. The ex was receiving her salary, spousal support, and child support. Property taxes and utilities should be less than a mortgage or rent. So what money troubles did the ex have that required her to sell her paid-off home? Maybe it's time for OP to remind the in-laws her kids are just as much their grandkids too, and she can just as quickly pull the same crap as the ex. What worries me is that the husband is so focused on a house for his kids that he's lost sight that his ex may not be a suitable person to raise these kids. That money went somewhere. Whenever anyone bugs OP about buying a new house, she should answer with, she had a house. What did she do with the money? I am betting gambling or drugs. If those sort of things are not addressed, then the next house will be sold too. I feel like he's throwing money into a fire for her. The ex is getting a salary, alimony, and the full proceeds of a paid-off house, yet she's living in a cramped apartment? Unless she has an undisclosed source of debt, the math isn't mathing. I would caution OP to make sure her finances are either separate or well monitored. Possibly even gets a written agreement that no money she makes or account she contributes to will be used in a purchase above a certain amount with her agreement. Something to protect her and, quite frankly, the financial security of all the kids. Honey, I'd keep an eye out because I reckon he'll do it behind your back. Update. No one is sure why she had to sell the house. She and my husband argued for weeks after it was already done. All we know for sure is that she doesn't have much left after the sale. The house was fully paid off with no liens. He transferred full ownership to her, so she was solely responsible for the taxes and maintenance. His kids have been living with us for a month, and we've settled into this silent routine. I don't try to mother them, and they ignore me. We provide them with the same food we eat and whatever else they need. My husband parents them. The low-end price of a house in our area and within their schools is about $300,000. I can deal with the situation until they're 18 and all out of the house, if it means we're not spending at least $300,000. My husband and I make about the same. We have our joint account and separate accounts. If he does buy her another house, it'll only be with his money, so it won't affect me financially. However, what if he loses his job soon afterward, has an accident where he can no longer work, or any of the other reasons I don't want to happen but have to plan for our children? They had an agreement and she broke it, but there's nothing my husband can do about it now. He can't sue for full custody because the kids live full-time with us. He's not paying child support since they are, and she's not arguing about that. He can't sue her for the house or money she doesn't have. My 40 female daughter, 21, Kate, is pregnant by her boyfriend, Matt, 22. Kate lives with me, and Matt lives with his dad and stepmom. They want to get an apartment together, but neither Kate nor Matt are good with money, so they have zero savings. Kate's not working. She quit about 4 weeks ago when she found out she was pregnant. Matt works full-time, and both of them dropped out of school. I've offered that if they find a place in a reasonable price range, I'll take care of the deposit, help get utilities turned on, pay half the rent each month, and continue paying Kate's car insurance and phone bill. I also told them that once the baby's born, I'm more than happy to help if the baby needs formula, diapers, wipes, clothes, etc. Kate and Matt were very happy about that until they heard my caveat. My caveat is I directly buy what they ask for. They can send me the links to what they want for the baby, but I will not give them any actual cash. The same applies to helping them with the deposit and the rent. I'll write a check directly to the apartment complex. I've seen how Kate and Matt handle money, like there's just more randomly lying around. They go out and spend all weekend, as Matt gets paid on Friday. Then by Tuesday, Kate's usually asking me for gas money on behalf of Matt because he's broke. She doesn't work, and his parents aren't financially stable enough to help out. Kate immediately objected to my conditions and said I was being unfair to her and Matt, treating them like children, and I should want to help out in any way they need or want me to. I told Kate from past observations that my choosing not to give them money is not something I'm willing to discuss or negotiate on right now. If that's something they need, either Kate goes back to work, since she is having an extremely easy pregnancy, or they ask Matt's parents for money in hand and try their luck doing that. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. 2 adults who are not financially responsible got pregnant and expect you to support them financially in full? They're very lucky you want to do anything for them. Your deal is more than reasonable. But honestly, I think you're giving them too much. You're telling your daughter not to worry about work? You'll cover all of her expenses in her household? And she'll probably just keep getting pregnant. There will be no thinking about if they can afford babies number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 because OP will pay for it. Kate isn't being taught financial responsibility, just the opposite. She's being taught that mommy will bail her out. When OP said there was a caveat, I thought it would be the daughter getting a job with health insurance. I cannot fathom that thought process that leads to quitting a job when I have a baby on the way. They both sound way too immature for this. What do you think will happen when they decide not to pay half of the rent or the electric bills? They'll ask you to pay for everything. For the baby, obviously. You've been enabling them until now, and you've created this problem to some extent. Tough love is the only way to get them to see the light. Personally, in your shoes, I would only pay for baby items, and if they fall homeless, you'll take in their baby, and they can go to a homeless shelter. I don't think they'll learn until actual consequences bite them in the butt. 100% this. OP, you are the idiot. You've enabled her. She thought quitting her job was the right move. What gave her that idea? She can't even manage to pay her phone bill? Are you willing to see them evicted? because the only part of the rent that'll be paid is the half you pay. No, I didn't think so. In reality, you're on the hook for all the rent. You're actually setting them up for disaster. They're both grown adults. Stop enabling bad behavior, laziness, and careless behavior. Raise your children and enjoy your grandchildren. Enjoy your children and raise your grandchildren. I love my wife. She's an incredible person who shines, but she has a flaw. She's a terrible driver. If there were a prize for the person who crashed the most in the garage, she would have won by far. She could crash a new car 5 minutes after buying it, and it's very common for her to scrape her car over the course of a year. At home, we have my car and her car. I recently bought my dream car 2 months ago, and I only drive it alone. She bought hers last year. The situation. Saturday, my wife hit a pole. Don't ask how. She wasn't hurt, but the car will need to be repaired for 20 plus days. Normally when this happens, I give her a ride to work. This week I'm going on a business trip, so I won't be able to help. And here comes the problem, that I don't want her to drive my car in the meantime, because it's new, and I'm afraid something will happen, because any repairs are expensive to my car. She was bringing up the subject of picking up my car for the week, since the car would be free. I sat down with her, and in a more affectionate way, said that I would prefer her to take an Uber every day for whatever she needed that I would pay for, as I didn't want to run the risk of her scratching the new car. She didn't handle it well, saying that it was ridiculous that she had to order Uber when she had a car parked in the garage, and that it was ridiculous that I didn't allow her to drive our family car. I stood my ground and she accepted it, but she was upset with me for doing it. And no, she's not using the car while I travel. And yes, I wouldn't mind lending her the car if she was a better driver. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but I almost want to say you are the idiot for allowing her to drive. Not that she needs your permission, but I'm shocked you haven't insisted that she not drive until she can do so safely. I would be highly concerned for her safety and others if I were in your position. I mean, she's a grown woman, so there's really nothing he can do. I'm just baffled that the conversation is, I don't feel comfortable with you driving my car since you keep damaging yours, and not, I'm worried about you driving any car since you keep getting into accidents. She just hit a pole. I'm surprised she hasn't been seriously injured yet. Oh, and I want to know what their insurance premiums are. I'm guessing they don't report the vast majority of it, which is why she still has insurance. OP, it's your car, not a family car. She's a horrible driver. Sounds like she shouldn't be behind the wheel at all. Make sure all sets of car keys are with you while you're away. Better still, please don't leave your car at home. Park it somewhere else. Take the keys with you. She will 100% drive it just to say, see, I drove it, and everything is okay. If she's this kind of reckless driver, I wouldn't let her drive my car either. I wouldn't even buy new cars for her if they need to be repaired this many times. She has to see how bad she is at it. I don't know if you guys have kids, but honestly, she needs to take more driver lessons. Someday her bad driving could end very badly. So I, 23 female, am an avid shopper, and I love to get things at estate sales in my area. I buy all my designer goods, most vintage, so it's amazing quality, from them, and they're a hidden gem, since barely any people even go to them in my area. So I've been able to find amazing things. I bought so much jewelry and clothes and furniture from estate sales that I later got appraised for thousands, while I spent $300 on it max. I've been able to find amazing things for a cheap price. I love decorating my condo with the things I buy and ensuring all my extremely expensive things are kept safe in a storage unit. I will bring them out once I buy a house in the upcoming years. I went to an estate sale this summer and mainly bought clothes and a beautiful vase. I bought it for $40, and it didn't look expensive to me, but another collector friend saw it in the background of one of my stories and asked me where I got it from. They said it looked like a vintage vase he had been looking for. I got it appraised and found out it was worth $3,500. I made sure to get its authentication as well. I did leave it in my bookcase and decided to keep it as decoration. even though I typically put expensive furniture and decor in my storage unit. This week, my boyfriend 30 came over and unexpectedly brought his tween son. He lives in New York City with his mom, and he has him during the summer, but he returned to stay with my boyfriend for a bit since his mom just had a baby in the NICU. I didn't mind since his son is nice and has never damaged anything of mine. When his dad and I were cooking in the kitchen, he was watching TV in my living room. Suddenly, I heard a crash, and we ran into my living room to see my new vase shattered. His son started crying, saying he wanted to see a book I had on my bookshelf. He saw the vase, thought it looked cool, and touched it, and it fell. His dad reassured him and said that it was okay, he'd replace it, and he wanted to ensure he wasn't hurt. I was upset but said it was okay and kept my composure. Later, I spoke to him when he came over alone, and we agreed he would pay me back. He asked me how much it was, and I said it was worth $3,500. He raised an eyebrow and asked how much I paid, since he knows I always find things at the sales, and I was honest and said $40. He told me he would pay me the $40, and I said absolutely not. Just because the woman who sold me didn't know its true price doesn't mean that I don't, and if I ever sold it, I would charge its appraisal worth, so he needs to pay me back the appraised price. He's not hurting for money. He makes $800K a year. I make $200K, so I'm not asking him to as if I don't have the money. It's the principle. Since his son broke it, he should pay the appraised price. He sent me the money but was upset, saying I was an idiot since I got it for so much cheaper. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. His son broke it. It doesn't matter how much it cost you initially. If you said you wanted it to be replaced or purchase one similar, it would cost you $3,500. That's the value of the item and the price your boyfriend has to pay. Insurers would love to pay purchase price for antiques, etc., but have to pay the valuation or replacement price. Why should your boyfriend be any different? Ask him if he would be happy to accept the initial purchase price of his house from an insurer, or if he would expect to receive the present-day market value price. I'm sure we all know what his answer would be. So there's no difference, whether it be a house or a vase. I wouldn't even ask him for the money. I'd ask him to replace the actual item. If he can find the same one for $40, good for him. If he can't find it for less than $5,000, it sucks to be him. Or, if you light his winning lotto ticket on fire, you only owe him $1, right? That's selfish, dishonest, idiot positioning right there. You might want to rethink a relationship with someone who acts like this. The fact that you both can afford this kind of expense means that the question is much more straightforward than it might otherwise be if $3,500 were fully out of his reach. They're bringing in $1 million between them a year, and they're bothered about something OP paid $40 for? Everyone's the idiot here. Rich people problems are so hard. You are the idiot. Avid shopper, not a biz. If I ever sold it, and appraised value aren't the same as for sale, or what one could get for it. Can't go wrong treating friends and family like you'd want to be treated, especially a nice kid who took it badly. Regarding principles, this feels like turning a kid's accident into a money grab. Child, vase, accident, tale as old as time. If I were the boyfriend, I would pay for the vase and break up with you. It would be the best $3,500 he ever spent.